ice is a locked room and only I have the key.
You know, I was so excited to say the title because I finally had it right.
Oh, okay.
I messed it up in a bunch of other videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, and I had it straight in my head, and she stole my thunder, but
You
that's
can say
okay.
it. Go
No,
ahead.
it's absolutely not happening
Say it
now.
again.
Another Giallo here.
Yes.
Another Sergio Martino. So this is the third one in a row that we've watched with the same actress. She is not the star here, though. She is a more secondary character. She's a supporting actress in this one. She still has a big part. She just doesn't come in till about 30 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
So, once again, this is... Not only does this have some serious rapey shit going on.
Oh my god, this one is the most rapey,
yeah.
I would say.
But also, the plot gets so convoluted. And, you know, in the end, we had somebody in the comments be like, I've never watched a Giallo that I couldn't follow. Like, I can follow them the entire time. Like, what's wrong with you guys? Bro, well, you're a genius. And we're just idiots. There's just so many ridiculous twists. And yet again, this one also, like the last one, the killer just so conveniently happens to be killing in town. Happens to just be... Although it's not a random person this time, it's basically just there is a random killer. The killer gets killed or captured, you know, like the other one. And it's just like, oh... We're just going to use that as an excuse to try to get money.
Yeah, really.
Once again.
Really, it's always that there are multiple killers.
And they're always trying to get
really
money.
What happens with
and everyone's
Giallo.
betraying
yes,
everybody.
It's all about, like, inheritances and, like, all of that. And we were laughing after this one because we read this, the Wikipedia, like, plot synopsis.
Yeah,
I
always like to just to make sure we got everything.
Yeah.
And there's always at least one or two things that I'm like, oh,
right,
that makes more sense now.
This one was, like, probably the most mean-spirited of all of the ones that we watched.
It's because every single person in this movie is despicable.
Except for, like...
Every one of them.
Well, yeah, you're right. The only person I would think is, like, Brenda,
the black girl.
maid that dies in the beginning. She's like,
nice. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that we see that's horrible about her, but everybody is, like, out to get stuff. And then the old woman, Mrs... whatever her name was. Manlin? I don't remember her name. But you didn't even remember her character when I told you about her.
Miss Mann from friggin' Scary Movie?
No, it's the woman that's collecting recycling and stuff, and she's the one that ends up reporting the main girl, Irina, or whatever her name is, to the police for animal cruelty.
There's some really, really funny, memorable lines in this movie that had me laughing. There's one from the husband after he hears his wife scream, and he just walks in and just nonchalantly, without a care in the world, is like, my wife dead? That got me.
So nonchalantly.
So hard. I thought that was so funny. And then the other one was another one of the rapiest things I've heard. And it does not take place during a rape. It's very consensual. But the line is very rapey.
Yeah.
And it's when he's like... The way that... what is her name? Like Edwidge?
I don't know how to say the actress's name.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say her name, but her character is like... I don't remember her character's name now. It's funny. Yeah. There's a lot of characters in this.
A lot of characters. But she goes up to have sex with this guy because that's just what people do in these movies. Yeah. They just meet and they're like, well, I'm a man and you're a woman.
You're right.
Let's just fuck. And so they go up to this place and she's like, they don't expect us to make love up here. And he's like, yeah, no big deal. And just take off your clothes. Why are you taking so long? Yeah. And he just like throws down like a sleeping bag.
Oh yeah, it is a sleeping bag.
And he's like, look, instant bed. Time to fuck. Get your clothes off. Why are you taking so long? And then she gets into the sleeping bag with him, and he goes to start zipping it up, and he says, once I zip it up, there's no getting out of it or something like that.
Once it's zipped up, you can't say no.
Something like that. It was so rapey.
Yes.
It was so funny to me in the moment. I was like, God damn, these movies are rapey.
Yeah, this one in particular, though, like, legit actually has, like, a lot of rape in it, too.
Oh my God, so much.
The husband is horrible to the wife, and, like, I do like that for the, like, entirety of the film, you think that she's the victim, and then you discover at the end that she's been this, like, mastermind all along. I actually like that, even though it is, like, it's a little, I don't know, it's convoluted for sure, but I did like that twist. I thought that was, you know, it's cliche, of course, but I think she played, like, being a victim really well, because I felt awful for her, like, the entire time. I was just like, and I mean, he still shouldn't have treated her horribly, but, like, when you discovered that, like, she killed his mom, and, like, she's, like, trying to set him up to take, you know, to go crazy from thinking he killed, like, the maid or whatever, and, you know, she's not a good person, but yeah, as far as, like, the Giallo-ness of this, though, this one probably has my least favorite, like, cinematography and style. I didn't really like the way this one looked as much as I've liked the other two.
Yeah.
I did like the location, like, the mansion that they're in is all old and kind of, like, run down, so I liked the setting, but I just felt like it didn't have as much stylized shots, and I really look for that with Giallos. And, you know, there is a good amount of nudity, but it's nowhere near as much as the last film.
Oh my God, not even
because
close.
it's pretty much just the one, well, no, it's like a couple actresses get nude, but
it's for, like, maybe
but it's not for very
30,
long.
30 seconds, 40 seconds combined, which is fine.
It is, but just, and I'm glad, because I feel like this one, like, I didn't want this one to be the sexy one, like, because it was, like, so rapey and in poor taste and everything. But this one's they're all very melodramatic, you know, like, the niece comes and, like, she's having sex with, like, her uncle and her aunt, and, like, she's planning to try and, like, take their jewels, but then she also, like, has this boyfriend, and, like, the uncle has, like, another girl that is, like, used to be his student that he's, like, sleeping with.
Yes, and in high school.
It's very sleazy. This one's really sleazy. And also the fact that we get, like, a lesbian sex scene, too.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty long one.
In the early 70s.
That was interesting. So.
Another thing that you and I have noticed, and this is, of course, for our own tastes, but the common theme throughout these, for us, is that most, if not all, the women are gorgeous. And all the men are just not attractive at all. And the way that they have such sway over these women with their, like, manliness and their sexuality, and it's like the women just can't resist how sexy they are. Like, even though, I don't know, it's weird. I kind of, maybe I'll walk that back a little bit. Outside of a very few character moments throughout these three Sergio Martino films that we've watched, and almost most Giallos in general, there's never, like, a sexy seduction from a man. The man more just asserts himself as, you want this shit.
Yes.
And you're gonna, it's very rapey.
Yes.
It's very, like, domineering, and it's not like the women are falling over themselves. They seem to be into it after, not during, or at least in the beginning when they start to take them and start to fuck them. They're, like, either fighting back, they don't seem like they're into it all that much, and then when it's, like, in the middle of it, or once it's over, then the women seem to be fucking head over heels. It's like, it's this, as I said, it's this, like, rapey male fantasy of, I'm just going to assert myself as the dominant male in the room. Just take what I want, no matter how much she fights back. And after she has that good dickin', she's going to realize what she wants.
It's a really bad message, honestly, that, like, women are just going to, like, fight you, and you just have to take them, and then they'll enjoy it eventually. Like, that's horrible. And it also, like, we talked about this in the last one, at least like these in particular, I don't think this is every single Giallo that we've watched, but like from this director in particular, it definitely appeals to male fantasy because it's like you're gonna have all these beautiful women around you that like are just gonna be like ripe for the picking, basically.
Yeah.
And it does make sense to a degree because I assume that the majority of the people that were probably watching these were men when it was coming out, but I'm sure there's also women watching them because women watch movies and women like horror and like, you know, but I definitely think that it was meant to appeal specifically to men, and it is very funny in a sad way too, but yeah, I don't, that's my least favorite part of these films in particular is the like weird dynamic between all the men and women in this. And I think in this one though, there is a little bit of like women using their sexuality, like particularly the niece. She uses it as a power play for sure. So she's not quite like as, she's not as forced upon as like the wife or like any of these other people, but I don't know.
No, she just, she comes into town and she just throws her sex around.
Yeah.
As her, flex.
You said it, like her weapon, yeah. So.
And that's, that's very indicative of the times where a lot of women were thought to have only that to have any kind of power.
Which that's also actually another sort of shitty stereotype to perpetuate is that the thing that basically it's like no matter what, the thing that makes women important is their sexuality and how they can use it, whether it's to please you or to try and take something from you.
Yeah.
And so that's like obviously it definitely paints women in like a one-dimensional like light, but I did like seeing her in this role because it was different from the last two films. Yeah. The last two films, when she's the lead, she's very much this same
character.
She's the same character in both, kind of, but she's like she's like a woman in like distress or whatever, kind of in both. And in this one, she's more calculated and like I feel like she did more, like character wise, because she wasn't the victim in this. But she is, but
But every one of these that we've watched has the same characters.
Yes.
They just have different actors playing those characters.
Yeah.
But, she plays the Carol from the last movie. It's just the friend or the other person who comes in who just does not give a shit and uses her sex in any which way she wants to get what she wants. And then, of course, in the end, everyone's double-crossing each other to have money. And then, the person that helped her do it, she kills when they turn their back on her, and it's the same actor. So it's all just kind of very familiar. And I don't like the sexuality in these. While I find the women to be beautiful and I find them to be sexy, I don't find any of the situation around them to be sexy. So that's one thing these films definitely lack for me is like a sensuality that's appealing outside of just beautiful women having sex, which is appealing, but it's not presented in a way that is sexy to me.
Yeah, and I think, it is really this director because we've definitely watched other Giallo films that don't quite have this type of formula to them. Yeah. And I will say that the other thing that I liked about the film was the cat in this. We talked a little bit because for part of it, I definitely thought the cat was dead and that it was like a ghost cat.
Same.
But then I realized like, the cat wasn't dead. They're just like showing this, like a fake cat with its eye gouged out because they don't have a way of like, showing you a real cat or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do like that no matter, even though the cat isn't dead and isn't a ghost, I do feel like there's a supernatural element with the cat almost because it's like the cat belonged to the mom that she killed and the cat has been like against her from the beginning.
Don't forget the cat's name.
And the cat's name is Satan. So
which is kind of a nod to Cinderella, right? The cat, and there's Lucifer.
Oh yeah, that's funny. So I like that. I like that the cat like is the thing that ends up being her total downfall. Like the fact that she was abusive to this animal, led somebody to turn her into the police, and then the police come and they hear the cat meowing in the walls.
Eye for an eye, bitch.
Yeah. I thought that was great. So, and
very Edgar Allan Poe.
Very much. I was thinking that too. The Cask of Amontillado. Whatever. The one where he puts him in the wall. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great. That's a really cool concept. And but of course in this one, I mean, the cat's alive in the wall, but like the people are dead in the wall, but being bricked in alive is pretty mean.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely go there supernaturally, sort of like maybe the cat is being possessed by the mom, right? And the cat, that's why the cat attacks her to try to like save her son, because she knows, like the cat knows what she's planning with the lover, who isn't really, like we see glimpses of him for a second and then he's revealed to be them, and then he puts the oil down and kills them, and then she pushes him off a fucking cliff. It's just betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. But I could see the argument that the cat's possessed by the mom. I could see the argument that the cat did die, and this is its like ghost that is showing the cops where the body is. Mm-hmm. All that stuff. Because the cat, I don't even think, does the cat even move when they open up the fucking wall? I don't even remember.
I don't remember. But I think it kind of does.
Regardless, the cat has it out for her. Yeah. Now, you could argue, too, that the cat just went down to try to find her master's body, found it, and then got stuck in the walls and just started meowing. Right? And that's what led them to the body. But it's very karmatic in that way.
Yes.
And everyone gets what is coming to them in the end. There's a couple casualties that don't deserve it, right? The maid, the girl from the bookstore, and then as we said, it's just thrown in here once again that the killer just so happens to be the bookstore runner, like a manager or owner or whatever. And it's like, oh, he's an escaped mental patient. It's like, these movies are so convoluted.
That's crazy. That's crazy to add in there.
It's fucking insane.
That's wild.
And to have it just be like
there's an extra killer.
It's like a footnote in this movie.
Totally.
It's just like a throwaway line of like, oh, and also the guy who killed the other person that we thought might have been you actually was a mental patient.
Okay, I feel like it's this attempt to disguise who the killer is. Like, it's supposed to make you be like, whoa, who is it? Oh my god. But
it's a cheat to have red herring after red herring.
It does not accomplish that. And that's definitely because in other giallos there is more of a focus on the gloved killer, the masked killer, so to speak, like literally too at times, like in Blood and Black Lace. And I love that. I love the like mystery of like who is fucking going around killing people, not like a bunch of bodies are coming up dead and you're telling me, oh, this one was killed by this person, but then these people were planning to kill this person and put it on this other person, but they ended up killing this guy instead. Like, that to me, I'm not a fan of. I don't like that.
So, one thing that fascinates me about older films like this, films that are 50 years old now or older, and even films from the 80s and even the 90s at this point. So I guess it just needs time removed from it and then you can go back to it. But these were accepted then, right? As to where the point I'm trying to get at is that a film like this, a film like this never would be accepted today. Like, this kind of plot line in a movie today, and I talked about this like when we watched Happy Birthday to Me and it's revealed that the girl's just wearing a mask that looks like a human. That shit just doesn't fly today unless you're doing like a Mission Impossible and the groundwork is laid out, like the rules are set, where it's like, oh, we have a government facility that can make masks that look human. Then you go, okay, whatever, like, even though we don't know that to be true in this world, in that world it does work, right? But there is that suspension of disbelief that you're willing to allow if the rules are set in place. But for films like this, they're so convoluted, they're so fucking ridiculous, that there's just no way that if we went to a movie today in theaters and we saw this film, but modern, but the exact same story laid out the exact same way, there's no way we would accept it. There's just no way.
Yeah.
And there's something weird about that where you just go, oh, that's just an old movie, right? Now, if this movie came out in the 90s, would we have accepted it in the 90s? Probably not. But if we watched it now and it was from the 90s, would we? Maybe. That begs the question, if you had a movie come out like this today, and then you fast forward the clock 30 years, would we just be like, oh, that's how movies were back then?
Right.
But they're not. And that's just the thing, right? Is that a lot of the films back then were like this.
Yeah.
And a lot of the audience just accepted it. Like, it's a movie. It's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
And for some reason now, we don't accept it like that.
No.
A lot of the times. A lot of the times, like, it's just a movie thing doesn't work as much on us now.
Yeah.
We're like, no! It's gotta make perfect sense.
Yeah, because we're all about the plot now. We're
Yeah.
like, we want it to be, there's no plot holes. No plot holes, no plot armor, nothing.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for people nowadays, but definitely was not a thing for people in the 70s.
I think they were just so busy, like, getting high and having sex and just going to these and just being like, whatever.
Like, I just want to see some naked women
Getting
and
raped.
some, like, paint
Once
being
is-
poured on them that they're like, it's blood. Some yogurt that's been colored red.
Once I zip you in, there's no backing out. I think that's what it is.
There's no backing out.
I think, yeah, once I zip you in, there's no backing out or there's no getting out of this or
So
something
crazy.
like that.
crazy.
It's wild. Anyways, so your vice is a locked room and only I have the key.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm having fun.
Me too.
I'm very much looking forward to watching the next. What is your guys' recommendation for our next Giallo? I think I have one picked out, but I'll definitely see what everyone has to say. We're getting some comments from some Giallo fans, or Gialli fans. I think that's the plural.
Giallis.
I think Giallis is like the plural of Giallo.
I think so.
This is a Giallo,
And then
and
there
these
are-
are a bunch of Giallis.
Yes, jollies. It sounds like you're saying jollies.
Yeah, jolly.
Jollies.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know.
There's a lot of jollies in these
I
movies.
will say that the one we watched most recently that I've liked the most, not by this director, is Blood and Black Lace. So
Oh, okay. That's your favorite of all of these?
that we've watched in this, yeah, for
Oh.
sure. I loved that one. I think that there's a lot that's great about it. Maybe we'll do a video on it, but more like that. So like the very stylized, like the neon colors and such. I'm into all that.
I don't know what my favorite of like the Sergio Martino ones have been so far.
Oh, I know mine.
I'm a big fan of. This is probably my least favorite,
Yeah.
but I really love some of the concepts in here. I was a bit bored at certain times with this one. As you said, I think the thing that hurts this one is that it lacks style that the other ones have.
Yeah.
And it's not that this film doesn't have style. It very much feels like a 70s Italian film.
Yeah, totally.
But it's the lack of the Giallo killer, lurking around.
the colors, the weird
colors.
like shots of just cool things,
Kaleidoscope
Also,
vision and all that kind of stuff.
soundtrack. I feel like this one, I don't remember any music from it, but there was some. My favorites, I definitely All the Colors of the Dark, and then The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, and then this one is the last one.
I'm
for
back
me.
and forth on those two.
So-
I have a hard time deciding between them.
Yeah.
I think they're both fantastic. I really liked this. I
I
didn't
I
really
liked-
like this until the end. And then when the black cat revealed, and I went back and I started really thinking about it, I was like, I want to watch this again someday, because I think I wasn't fully feeling... It was a hard movie to watch because 90% of the film is just watching this woman be abused.
Sure.
And it's like, that's not fucking fun to watch.
That's why I'm like, I
wanna
don't
watch some
really like
woman
this
be
one so
beaten.
much. Yeah.
She's like beaten, raped, freaking mentally abused, physically abused.
But I guess we should be happy because she, like, kills her abuser.
She does, but she's
it's like,
also
she's
like a
also-
closeted piece of shit too.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
So that's probably the biggest reason I didn't like this, was because it's just like watching someone being abused for an hour straight is not my idea of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there you go. Tell us what you think we should watch next, and are you enjoying these Giallo run-throughs? As you can see, we only edit the spoiler-free modern nowadays reviews, the new movie releases. These longer form discussion videos, I don't have any interest in editing these. These are going to stay the original style.
Yeah.
But for those of who have been wondering, the style change and all that, we're trying to appeal to more people. And with those are the ones everyone's going to watch. These are for you guys. Yes. Most people don't watch these. Nobody gives a shit about this movie.
This is for the hardcore horror fans.
This is for the people who've been part of this channel for years, who like this kind of stuff, who like this style of just sitting down, chatting about shit. This remains the same. And the spoiler free, and then like the scripted videos I've been doing on like Halloween and that's the new stuff. That's fun. It's different and it appeals to a different audience. So in case you're wondering, there you go. We love you guys, and we'll see you in the comments. Bye.
Bye.